All right, morning guys. We are back to finish the Sequoia, hopefully. We got a few things planned for it. We need to put an air compressor in, install the REDARC Rogue system, and basically hook everything up so everything that's been bolted onto it will now function. So we got a lot of wiring and a few more installs, and then it'll be ready to hit the trail.
So due to the battery being in the very back compartment inside of the Sequoia, we decided it would be a really good idea to put a power and ground bus bar under the hood that's easy for us to hook our accessories up to. So I took a piece of 1/2 inch thick high density polyethylene plastic, and it makes really good bracket material. It's super easy to work with and cut, but it's very strong and rigid.
So the solution we came up with for turning on and off the winch and killing power to the system when it's not needed is to put a massive 500 amp rated on-off switch where the third row seat cup holder would normally be. And so the idea now is that this is gonna go back in. I'm gonna feed these wires to the battery compartment. This will click in. And then we'll have a easily accessed on-off switch back here where normally we wouldn't have anything.
As you can see here, I am labeling our wires. It does take a little bit of time, but what I like to do is take a label maker, label what that power wire is, and then put clear heat shrink on top of it, and it protects it for any kind of use down the road, and it makes it very easy to diagnose any kind of electrical issues in the field.
Next is the air compressor. We were actually gonna run the chuck back here. Now we've decided that we're gonna run the chuck to that cup holder next to our winch on-off switch because it's something you can just open up that side door and grab right away versus having to open up swing outs in the back. So I'm gonna mount the air compressor here. This is where our back seat would go. And essentially I'm just gonna mount it to a plate of material and then Velcro it to the carpet. Then we're just gonna run the air line up to here. Okay guys, this is a new product from REDARC. It's the TVMS Rogue system. Basically, it's a switching system. Instead of using an S-Pod or a Switch Pro, this has up to 10 switches you can hook up to it to control accessories. Basically a more basic version of a Red Vision if you don't need all of the features of a Red Vision. And what's really cool about it is its form factor. It's only 1 inch thick. It's extremely compact for what it can do. It has built-in smart fuses. And we have all of our outputs. So we have our main power and ground that we're gonna run straight to the battery. And then right here with these wires, it looks like a bit of a mess, but it's not because they do a great job labeling everything. But we have our 10 amp rated circuits. And what we can do is run anything off of these. These can send power to light bars, rock lights, interior lights, scene lights, fridge, whatever. And then we also have what's really cool about this that we're gonna utilize is these are manual switch inputs. So instead of using just the screen to trigger your lights and everything, which you can do, you can actually hook up manual switches to this, which we will do. We have a really cool switch system in the center console I'll show you guys. And what we'll be able to do is run lights from this if we wanted, or have a manual toggle switch in the front that when we flip it, it sends a signal to here to trigger that accessory. What's really neat about this is it's not just a switch system. It is a really cool system that can manage water tank levels, your fridge temperature. Pairs really well with the Manager 30 if you need battery management capabilities as well. Or like what we're gonna do, because we don't have a fridge in this Sequoia as of right now, we're just gonna run it as a switch system for our lights, and then we're gonna run manual switches up to the front. But we'll have the ability to expand on it later down the road if we expand on the build. So now we need to figure out where we're gonna put it. We have a pretty good idea, and then we need to build a bracket. We got some bracket material, got some cardboard to mock up some brackets, but we wanna mount it somewhere where we can easily get to it, but it's out of the way. All right, we've been scoping it out, kind of doing some pre-planning. Our best option right now for a nice concealed compartment out of the way is gonna be right here. It's walled off on both sides. We already have pre-ran some wires when I was doing the wiring to the back battery to here. So I ran a power and ground for the Rogue system. We have our switch system up front, pre-ran wires to it. I like to pre-run the wires when I can, because then when I go to do the actual install, everything's there ready to be hooked up. We're gonna take this, cut it out on another piece of material. The Rogue will mount to it like this. All the wires will get tucked underneath like that, out of the way. Then this guy will be able to sit in here kind of at an angle. So I have a rough mock-up of the bracket for our Rogue system. And I just want to share a shop talk top tip. Get deburring tools if you're doing any kind of cutting out of wood, metal, plastic. This is high density polyurethane in a 3/8 thickness. I love this type of material for building any kind of bracketry out of, for electrical use, whatever. But when you cut it, it leaves sharp edges, burrs, stuff like that. And so deburring tools are a really cool tool to round out. It kind of works like a handheld router for like routing out the edges of wood. We just put it in a vise, I like this guy that has this little whoop on it. And I basically just take it and pull it along the edge, and it does a spiral cut, and it basically rounds out and smooths up the edges. So I'll just go along here after cutting it out, pull it along, and you can see that it already has rounded it over, and it kind of gives it a factory looking edge. So deburring tools, these are really useful. All right guys, so for the rear hatch lights on our Sequoia, I'm gonna do the same thing I did on our 3rd Gen 4Runner build. I'm gonna put some National Luna lights in here.
Installing these National Luna lights is actually very straightforward. It's just a simple power and ground coming out of the back. I was looking for a hot wire in the hatch, but didn't find one, so I'm just gonna run a dedicated power and ground from the battery compartment up into the hatch, so they'll have power all the time.
So this is what we decided to do for our switches in here. We could have done just standard toggle switches on the dash somewhere, but we wanted it to be a little bit more unique. So we actually found a company that specializes in making basically replica switches for like Apollo space capsules and space shuttle and flight simulator setup. So they made a panel that had 4 switches on it, and we had them custom labeled. We have roof lights, bumper light, rock lights, and air compressor with the cool guards and everything. So we got very childlike and nerdy with this one, but we love how it turned out, and it installed in here perfectly. The only thing that we had to take out was the wireless charger, but we don't really use it anyways, so it was the perfect spot to mount this setup. We got everything hooked up. The last thing we need to do is plug in the power to the Rogue. The breaker in the back is still off, so there's no power to it. So the last step there, I'm gonna leave this open right now in case we need to troubleshoot anything, and then we'll tidy it all up. Got the screen plugged in, everything else is hooked up. So now we gotta put power to the whole system. Haven't done it since we've hooked everything up, so hopefully it all works. Oh, we got lights. Oh, yeah. All right. We got it all programmed now, so moment of truth. Oh, that's so cool. Ah, that works. That's so cool. Well guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the build series on our new Sequoia. So we're really excited to get out there and just start using it, figuring out things. We're also going to be maybe changing up some stuff here in the future. We're getting it ready for the next big trip. So the weekend's here. We're headed out. We'll see you guys on the next Shop Talk.